You already know how we're starting off the show today, and that is Lumen Christi girls basketball winning their first ever state championship for girls basketball. How amazing is that? I mean, we've been tracking this team all season. I mean, we've been tracking all the Jackson County teams all year, but we've been able to follow their entire playoff run from their first district semifinal win against Springport all the way on to hoisting the trophy on Saturday. So when we last chatted here on these airwaves, that was fresh off of their quarterfinal win up at Lincoln High School from Tuesday over Plymouth Christian Academy. And then Thursday, when we didn't have a show, that's when Lumen played their first ever game at the Breslin Center. They were able to pretty handily take down Brandywine. Amazing start, 14-0, and they were pretty much able to maintain a 18 to 22 point lead the rest of the way. And then that led us to the state championship on Saturday. Lumen Christi and Pewamo-Westphalia, who, by the way, they were trying to go 2 for 2 in basketball championships. Their boys team, just 1 week prior, had won the boys Division III championship. So Pewamo-Westphalia, of any team in Division III, was probably the only one right next to Lumen Christi that had a comparable strength of schedule and, really tough wins. Lumen, we've already known they've been able to beat some amazing teams, not only in Michigan, but in the Toledo area. So some great Ohio teams as well. As a matter of fact, only one Michigan team defeated Lumen this season, and that was Rockford, who was a top 2 or 3 team in all of the entire state, really, but for Division I specifically. So that was the only team in Michigan that's been able to knock off this Lumen Christi team. Meanwhile, for Pewamo-Westphalia, they've gotten their handful of wins against not only really good teams, but really good upper division teams. They've beaten some of the other best teams in Division III, and they've also got some Division I, Division II wins under their belts. So we knew going into this one, hey, previously you can really tell in some of these matchups with Lumen Christi in the playoffs that the other team, while they have a great record on paper, the strength of schedule is not there. Lumen Christi has pretty much the same, a similar, if not a better record than some of these teams, but with a significantly more difficult strength of schedule, more convincing wins to their resume. And that was pretty apparent through the playoff run before the state championship. Their only real grind, their only real true battle, close battle that they had was Grass Lake, who was another team that had a pretty comparable strength of schedule to Lumen Christi. And otherwise, it was all blowouts. In the regional tournament, blew out both Columbia Central and St. Mary Catholic Academy. And then obviously Plymouth Christian Academy in the quarterfinals, followed by Brandywine in the semis. All blowouts. And teams that, again, on paper, not only have similar records, but also in the case of Brandywine, has a wealth of deep playoff experience in recent years. But it doesn't matter. Lumen made it look like it just didn't matter because they were just able to dominate them like they have been any other team this playoff run. And that leads us to the state championship where this was a battle right from the start. It was close, very defensive. It was a pretty somewhat high-scoring first quarter. It was 15-13. Lumen able to take the lead after the first quarter, but it was a battle. Both teams having to really work for their shots. Kenna Hunt, she actually struggled the first 3 quarters of this game shooting the ball. Here's a nice highlight. Kenna Hunt finding Ruby Boyce to give Lumen an early 7-6 lead.
Screen coming from Aaron O'Dowd. Sidestep gets the switch from Pohl. Now setting another screen. She's going to go right through the lane. Dish down low for a wide-open Ruby. Boisu scores easily off glass for 2. Great court vision from Hunt to get that assist. And Lumen back in front, 7-6.
Now, that would actually be the last time for quite a while that Pewamo-Westphalia would have the lead. Prior to that bucket, they led 6-5 before that bucket. And Lumen was able to hold the lead, very slim lead, but a very narrow lead for the rest of the first half. Very low scoring, just 6-5 in favor of Lumen Christi in the second quarter. Just a complete defensive chess match. This game had just grinded to a halt. It was really tough for these teams to get any points. Here's a bucket from Kenna Hunt, putting Lumen up 4.
Kenna Hunt on the near side wing, crossover left, wide open lane, through the lane, all the way for a nice score. Man, just got her with that crossover. Kenna Hunt, very hard dribbler. And, man, she can make moves like that. 9 points for Kenna Hunt to lead all scorers. Lumen up by 4, which for a game like this feels like an 8 or 9 point lead.
Yeah, because I mean, this whole game, save for a few pockets like that one, it was all within one possession. Lumen briefly had a 5-point lead, 15-10, towards the end of the first quarter, but it was like mere seconds later, Pewamo-Westphalia answered with a 3 and brought it back within one possession. And just like that score right there, 19-15, Pewamo-Westphalia comes back with a 3, brings it within 1. Lumen does go into halftime with a tough bucket to lead by 3 at the half. And then the third quarter, really tough, but it felt like Pewamo-Westphalia starting to slowly turn the tides in their favor. They outscored Lumen 16-13. So kind of similar to the first quarter. Scoring is back up. But Pewamo-Westphalia able to actually take their first lead since that 7-6, that 5-6 that I told you in the first quarter. They ended up taking their first lead, 27-25. But then a big three-pointer right back by Lucy Rozak gave Lumen the lead.
Kenna Hunt, top of the key, step back, near side corner, 3-ball, Rozak, up and in, answer on the other end. Boy, she needed that one. Lumen back up by 1. Lumen in their full court press.
And it was back and forth, ended up closing the third quarter tied, 34-34, going into the fourth and final quarter. And Kenna Hunt, I told you, she struggled to shoot the ball through 3 quarters. And it's not like she was taking bad shots. She was taking a bunch of shots that she normally makes, like, you know, some of these they would probably be tough for other players, let's say that. Tougher shots for other players, but not tough shots for her. These are shots that she's known for making. And again, within the flow of the offense and how the game was, not bad shots. They were just not falling. But Kenna Hunt breaking open the biggest fourth quarter of the season for Lumen Christi with this step-back three-pointer, and just it became an avalanche from there.
Over to the left wing, lofts it, bounce pass over for Ganton. Now back for Kenna Hunt at the free throw line. Jab step, drives through, pulls it back out. Side step, takes the 3, up and in! She needed that one. Ice cold in the third, but she's going with that triple in the fourth. Lumen back up by 3.
And that was it. Just lead kept growing from there as Lumen just continued to finally go on that run. I mentioned throughout the broadcast that who was able to go on a big run in this one, 6, 7, 8, 9 point run, that's going to be a huge difference maker in deciding who's going to win this game. And it was Lumen in that fourth quarter. They outscored Pewamo-Westphalia 18-2. As a matter of fact, in that run, here's a nice Lily Ganton score to continue to add to the onslaught.
Bounce pass down low for Ganton, turns and shoots and scores! Lumen Christi up by 8 now, their large lead. 4:40 left. This is the run that Lumen Christi needed.
And as they started to continue to grow their lead, 6 points, 8 points, 10 points, 12. As the lead kept going up, you could tell Pewamo-Westphalia was starting to really feel that pressure. It was like, all right, Our defense is starting to slide right here. We have to get scores, and they started to really rack up the turnovers. They were really good. This was probably the best team we'd seen all playoff run that Lumen has played against in terms of taking care of the basketball, not really turning the ball over. But as they started to feel that pressure with the game wearing on, they started to get a little bit more sloppy. And Lumen, that's what they have made their bread and butter with all season long, is forcing turnovers, getting out and running, and getting easy fast break points. And that was key in that fourth quarter to really shift the tides back in their favor once and for all. As once Lumen got over double digits, you kind of had that feeling it was about over. With only a couple minutes left, that was it.
2 seconds left, and they're not even going to take a shot. That's it. It's over. Lumen Christi bringing home their first ever state championship in girls basketball history. What a season for the Lady Titans. You knew with the talented sophomores and Kenna Hunt and Lucy Rozak, as well as a lot of other amazing senior leadership on this team, that they would have a chance to go deep. And make no mistake of it, this one was a battle. Final score 52-36.
So there you go. Lumen Christi champions, and amazing performance from Kenna Hunt, even though we mentioned it was a pretty rough shooting night for her. She still put the team on her back in that fourth quarter, able to come through when it matters the most. That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. MHSAA, their numbers, they have her at 21 points. I had her at 19, and the discrepancy was it looks like Lily Ganton, they had her with 2. I had Lily Ganton with 4. So at some point, one of us got it wrong. Either I got it wrong, and I credited Lily Ganton with an extra score, or what. But some discrepancy there. But regardless, we're going to go off of MHSAA numbers. Kenna Hunt, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Just 1 turnover as well for Kenna Hunt. Unbelievable game for her. Lucy Rozak was huge in that fourth quarter, getting some of those big buckets. 4 of 8 shooting, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. And some of the other senior starters that I mentioned. Ruby Boyce, 6 points. Some big shots. Paige LaFear, 4 points. And I said it all playoff run. Paige LaFear, she doesn't necessarily light up the stat sheet, but her presence is felt every time she's out there on the floor. And every team needs a player or two like that. That, again, doesn't really get stats, but noticeable difference when she's in the game versus when she's on the bench. It just her impact goes beyond just what the numbers show. And then Lily Ganton as well, a couple of those big shots down the stretch. And then off the bench, just 5 combined points, but big shots. Erin O'Dowd had 3, a big 3 early on. That gave Lumen a 5-4 lead in that first quarter, coming in immediately knocking down that shot, and then she was able to play some quality minutes the rest of the way. And then Tristan Johnson, freshman off the bench, she had 2 points there in that fourth quarter as well. So at the end of the day, 25-3, Lumen's season ends with them hoisting their first championship in their program's history. And again, very significant with the turnaround of this team, which is always funny. We saw this when the football team wins, a lot of championship wins for them the last couple of years. You have those yahoos out there that'll, they recruit. Oh, it's because they recruit. This is a Lumen team that finished 1-19, just 1 win, 4 years ago in 2022. And they've been able to slowly improve over the next couple of years. Went to the quarterfinals last year, and then this year bringing home the championship. How silly is that? And that, trying to deflect with the whole, they're a private school, so they recruit. They were the only private school in Division III that made it to the Final Four. So where's the other private schools' excuses? It's just so silly. It's silly whenever people deflect on that. All I have to say is cope harder. Lumen Christi, they're the champions. The Lady Titans, they're the champions. Hard fought. These are good girls. Amazing head coach Scott Stein coming over. He had won 3 of the past 4 championships coming into the season with Arbor Prep. So this is a guy that they're able to hire, championship pedigree, and his immediate impact cannot be understated. He's done a phenomenal job with this team, and I was really pleased with his adjustments. And those are what great coaches do. They make great adjustments, mid-game adjustments that we've seen in that postseason as well to really do some different things. Throw a wedge in the other team's game plan. And he was amazing. So congratulations, Lumen Christi, Lady Titans, bringing home that championship on Saturday. And it's just really cool as well that in the state of Michigan for basketball championships, you got 4 divisions, so 8 total champions, 4 boys, 4 girls. Of those 8 champions, 2 of them coming from Jackson County. We got the Concord boys, and we got the Lumen Christi girls. So amazing. Really cool. And as a matter of fact, for both those schools, not only are those the first basketball period championships that we've seen, but it's also been a couple years, at least for the girls. 2021, we had Grass Lake win it all for the girls. But then looking at the boys' side, that was for Concord, first boys basketball state championship since, 1955 with J High. So it's just really cool that we have two basketball championship teams right here in Jackson County. But again, Lumen Christi, amazing season, and I'm really glad I was able to broadcast every single playoff game during this playoff run. Really cool stuff. Really cool. So congratulations. And even though they lose some quality seniors, as I mentioned, their other 3 starters besides their 2 sophomore stars, Kenna Hunt and Lucy Rozek, they'll be graduating their other starters, Lily Ganton, Ruby Boyce, and Paige Lafere. Also have a couple of other graduating seniors as well. But in terms of the main rotation, those are the 3 main ones. But Kenna Hunt, Lucy Rozek, they're going to be juniors only next season. Erin O'Dowd, who played a lot of quality minutes off the bench, I believe she's either going to be a junior or a senior next year, so they'll get another year with her. Tristan Johnson, freshman off the bench. I was a big fan of her throughout the playoffs. Able to play some big minutes, good, tough defense. So she's only going to be a sophomore next year. So, I just have that feeling that Lumen Christi win the championship this year, but they're not done. They're not done yet. I think they still definitely have a lot more in the tank in terms of the Breslin Center. So it should be fun to follow over the next couple of seasons.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.